Hello dear students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. Now moving ahead on the topic of emerging trends in International Human Resource Department, we have the fifth emerging technology, emerging trend in global HR, that is wearable technology and employee wellness. Now, when we are talking about wearable technology, it means all types of gadgets that can be wore, that can be used to monitor the health of the employees. Now, what we were discussing about were the different trends of global HR which affect the business and what these trends are going to impact on the international human resources. So, when we are talking about wearable technology, it means the humans are important for the organization when we are talking about human resources. So, that means all the steps will be taken to increase the rich and good experience of the employees in the organization, their expectations towards the organization, then their performance towards the organization. Now, all this cannot be done keeping in mind without the health factor of the employees. Now, while we are keeping in mind the health factor of the employees, these wearable technologies become very important. Now, they become important because they are very useful to monitor the physical activities of the people. Now, monitoring can help us understand the various sleep cycles, calorie burns, the different fatigue periods of the people in the organization, and studying these periods of the people in the organization can plan different shifts of workers, shifts of work for the people, so that the work can be done more productively. What Hitachi has done, it is one of the first organization which uses wearable devices within the workplace. They have found that the employees who experienced more variation in the physical activity as opposed to repetitive tasks were happier and more productive. This key insight from wearable technology ultimately helped them to inform their employees wellness initiative. So, what Hitachi has done, it has introduced the use of these wearable devices within the organization, and through this initiative they were being able to understand the different patterns of physical activities that the people were facing, and along with these physical activities, what were the phases when they were more productive and what were the phases where they were lesser productive. So, through this study, the different patterns of productivity of the people can be understood. When used to track, they can be used to track health problems, health monitors such as sleep cycles and calories burned. Wearables can indicate the health and wellness goal of individual employee. So, organization can keep track of health and wellness of each of the individuals within the organization. Now, by keeping this, what will happen? More and more motivation will come along, more and more morale will be boosted for the people, because they will be of a positive impact that the organization is looking after them, and organization is also keen to understand their health patterns. They are considerable towards their health and other taking care of this health in the organization. They can also detect major health concerns like employees' blood pressures, etc., and which increases dramatically when at some particular time period. These include offering access to wellness app, wearable devices, virtual reality, and telemedicines. Now, what organizations can use these wellness devices for? They can use these devices for tracking of the health of the different employees in the organization, the different health factors like blood pressures and sugar for the employees. Then again, it can be used to keep a doctor on call and provide telemedicines to the employees of its organization. So, what will happen? It will give a certain new aspect, a new trend to the global HR. Now, HR will be more bent towards the health and other concerns of the employees, and it will also see that employees remain satisfied along with the healthy with their healthy bodies and healthy mind in the organization. Although there might be privacy barriers to overcome with the wearable devices, potential benefit could be well worth it. So, now when we are talking about wellness wearable devices, a certain kind of privacy policy should be followed, because of course, when we are using these devices, there is a need to sign in, and we need to give certain information related to our mails or other kind of passwords are being put up. Apart from all these privacy issues, wellness devices, wellness wearable devices can be best used in the organizations, and organizations should come forward to use these devices in their organization, so that continuous monitoring can be done and people can be safeguarded from any kind of hazards that can happen in the organization. From decreased healthcare cost to increased productivity, organizations that continually search for marginal improvement like these will stand out in the crowded market. Now, that means this type of organizations who are more focused towards human, their wellness, their expectations and their experiences, it will give a more a new kind of avenue to the people within the organization, and it will also set up its image in the eyes of the people who are outside the organization, that this organization has a good culture to follow, and people will be more attracted to join this particular kind of organization. So, in this way the organization will be able to stand itself apart from the crowded market where all the rest of the organizations will be there. Next trend we have is portable benefit system. Now, when we are talking about portable benefit systems, it is related to gig workers, it is related to gig economy. Now, we all know that the emerging global HR trend is related to gig economy, and it is almost possible with the advent of portable benefit system. Now, when we are talking about gig economy, it means all the person who work temporarily, the jobs typically in the service sector, as an independent contractor, freelancer, a worker in the gig economy has a freedom that almost full timers only dream of. So, it means it is consisting of people who are independent contractors who are there for performing temporary kind of jobs for the organization. Now, through this what will happen? The organization will not need to hire people, they will not need to give any kind of salary to these people. They will be hired for their temporary kind of job, they will be assigned this particular temporary job, and once this job is done, the amount of money that was being sanctioned will be given to the person. So, it will benefit the organization as well as the people who are there in this particular kind of profession. So, it consists of an independent contractor or a freelancer. Now, over here we can say that the gig workers have a freedom that the most full timers only dream of, setting up of their own hours, they shall set up their own working hours, they can set up that the environment from where they want to work from office, they want to work from home, and they are just being their own bosses. That means, once they have got this assignment, once they have got this job from the organization, it is their duty now to how to complete this particular job. Organizations offering traditional employment options may find themselves a second choice if this kind of opportunity is becoming reality. So, now more and more as the gig economy will progress, as the gig workers will be there in the organization, over there organization can give itself a second opportunity in terms of employment. Now, that means it can keep people of two types of mixes, once they are there on the roles of the organization, and the others who are on their own on a temporary kind of job, who come to the organization, perform their job and then leave once their job is done. What how many types of gig workers we have? The first one is freelancers, they perform services for the multiple clients. Now, that means for example, suppose a consultant is there or a cost accountant is there, he can perform tasks, he can prepare accounts for more than one firm. So, there is no need to set up an accounts department apart and different workers under that particular department. So, if the organization is small or if your workings are of a smaller nature, over there freelance consultants can be hired. and if the organization is large enough, the whole process of this accounting can be outsourced from a whole firm that is being established for this purpose only. Secondly, we have different consultants providing guidance to the clients. Now, we have talked about consultants, means consultants in various fields like in accounts, in human resources, in your information technology department. We can have consultants everywhere. So, this particular consultancy can be taken up from outside, from these freelancers, from these independent workers, and this will be provided in the form of guidance, and once this is complete, the work is done and the payment can be done. Thirdly, we have independent contractors, appear similar to traditional employees, but are independent, but they are acting as an employees of the organization because they work according to the contract or the agreement that they and the organization have, but they work, the nature of their work is almost independent and the organization does not interfere in that particular way. Then we can have two types of worker, temporary independent contract workers, and then we have seasonal workers, provides temporary service as the independent contractors. So, these type of 5 workers are available in the outside environment, of which the organization can take advantage of, and it can have a mix of this gig workers as well as permanent workers in the organization. So, if the individual is having the ability to transfer their benefits along their employment, particularly in the countries without universal health care, we could see the influx of contingent jobs. Seventhly, we can have another kind of trend, that is increased regulation on the contract workers. Now, when we are talking about the host country, we have already talked about the different culture, the different external factors that come into play and influence the business on the whole. We cannot leave behind the regulation factor, regulatory factor that plays a role in a different country. Now, when we are talking about the regulatory factor or regulatory framework of a country, it is composed of different laws and bylaws, rules, regulations that the government of that particular country apply to the organization. So, keeping aside and being aware of these rules is important for the organization, because it has to perform according to these rules once it has established its subsidiary company in that particular country. So, as temporary employment grows, scrutiny will continue to intensify and government will continue to act. So, now when moving in the host country, the government continuously keeps on scrutinizing the various processes of the organization and the people who are employed in the organization. Now, once we are talking about the people who are employed in the organization, most of the laws are there on the gig workers, on the temporary workers, on the contract workers, and we need to check out what category of workers, what class of workers we are employing, and exactly according to the class of the workers, we need to know the different legislations which are applied on these workers. So, the legislation is one of the most revolutionary step to date in direction how independent contractors are treated in the US. So, now when talking about US, how they are treating the independent contractors, when we are talking about the gig economy, it is important. That means, what is the exact position this independent contractor is having in the eyes of law in US. Similarly, in other country where we are going to set up the subsidiary unit. The bill set out to ensure employees are no longer incorrectly classified as independent contractor, a misstep that negates any basic worker protections such as paid sick days and health insurance. So, now accordingly as the classification of the workers are done as independent contractors, the paid sick leaves or health insurance are being provided to the employees. So, sometimes what happens, the organizations they misclassify or incorrectly classify the different workers in their organization. Now, due to this error of the organization, either intentionally or non-intentionally, will ultimately land the people, land the employees in the organization in a situation where they may be devoid of any kind of paid sick days or health insurance. So, these are the certain benefits, certain number of benefits that the organization needs to provide to its employees. So, now when we are talking about different benefits that are provided to the employees and attaching these benefits to different class of workers, it becomes important that the organization understands the laws and rules and then divides or classifies the people in a correct manner in the organization. So, once this classification is done in a correct manner in the organization, the people will definitely get the benefits according to the class they are being divided. Expecting improvements in workers' right to intensify in other states as well as around the world, particularly in European countries. So, along with the other legislations related to benefits, related to classes of workers, the different rights of workers are also important. They are also set up in different host countries, which have further improved the expectations of the employees that these rights will be helpful in safeguarding their interests in the hands of the employer. So, employers or the organizations should be very well aware of various rights that the people are having, that the employees are having in the organization, and that these rights are safeguarded to a large extent, so that people remain secure, people remain ensured that their rights will not be taken off, or they will not be harmed by the organization in any way. To negate the risk of employee misclassification, specifically when hiring in the countries where organizations have no entity, HR has leveraged global employment outsourcing. Now, misclassification can always be there, can be there due to the error of the organization. Incorrect classification can also be there. So, to negate the risk of this particular thing, to reduce the risk of misclassification while hiring the people in the organization, this whole task can be done through outsourcing. Now, GEO, Global Employment Outsourcing, is an acronym for Global Employment Outsourcing. These services are provided by international employment companies that can act as legal employer of the record and help the organizations to navigate through HR complications when performing work in a country. So, now these people, these global employment outsourcing organizations can help subsidiary organizations by making them aware about the legal implications, legal formalities that are there related to the different classes of workers, and of course, they will also help them to further hire the people from different classes of workers and accordingly set up the different benefits related to these class of workers. These global HR trends highlight many outgoing challenges and the HR department will need to overcome to meet these demands, both global workforce and business leadership. So, these particular HR trends that we have studied, they are going to highlight the various challenges and it will help the organization to formulate and develop the policies of the organization in such a way that it copes up with these particular challenges and deals with this challenge and become successful. So, a knowledgeable payroll and employment partner can help you navigate these trends and strategize the future of the organization. Last trend that we have is the HR metrics. Now, HR metrics or HR human resource metrics are the key figures that help the organization track human resource capital and measure how effective their resources are in the organization. Now, when talking about metrics, it is related to data. Now, HR is moving from developmental role to strategic role, and how they are able to develop these strategies. These strategies are being developed on the basis of certain data that is being derived by the HR department. Now, analyzing of these data, which is related to you can say it is related to turnover, it is related to cost per hire, benefits that are being provided to the organization, then participation rate of the people, all these things, all these particular soft aspects can be converted into data of the human resources. Tracking these data analyzing these data and bringing out certain meaningful forms of this data can help the HR department to further strategize these particular processes. All this is concerned with HR metrics. Now, 5 most important HR metrics are: cost per hire. Understanding how much it costs you to recruit one person can be very helpful. Now, HR metrics, the very first one and the most important, you can say, important advantage of HR metrics is that the organization is able to understand what will be the cost of one person who is recruited in the organization and how far it is helpful. So, now when we are talking about exactly one cost of that one person, it will help us understand that this is the cost of hiring this person, and this will be the particular expenditure that will be done on him, like in the way of salary, different incentives. So, what will be the further output that this person will be giving to the organization. So, this will be done, this can be quantified with the help of HR metrics, continuously collecting data about hiring figures of the people and then coming on to the average cost of that particular one person, one recruit, that will be helpful to the organization. Then second important task is turnover, calculation of the turnover of the people or the attrition rate of the people. So, attrition rate, when we are talking about the attrition rate, it means the rate at which the people are leaving your organization. So, if the turnover or the attrition in the organization is more, if it is increasing in the organization, HR metrics is going to help. Now, what HR metrics is going to do? It is going to collect the data related to the exit of the employee, it is going to collect data related to the reasons why the people are leaving your organization, and ultimately when you analyze this data, different factors of this data, you can come out with certain solutions, you can come out with certain reasons that why most of the people are leaving the organization. For example, we can say if a survey is taken up of the leaving people or the exiting people of the organization, satisfaction that is coming from the job is low. This can be one of the factor which will be coming out from the HR matrix. So, other factors like motivation, then incentives, promotions, these can also be related to the turnover. So, HR matrix will definitely give you a certain percentage of these factors, and the most effective percentage, say suppose, is of the satisfaction towards the job. So, if people are not satisfied towards the job and they are leaving the job, the turnover is high because of this particular reason, HR department will definitely be able to prepare strategies to bring about satisfaction towards the job. Now, when we are talking about satisfaction towards the job, it can be done through enrichment, enlargement, or some kind of attaching other kind of authority or duties to the job. Then absence. Third important aspect is checking on the absence of people from the organization. So, absenteeism can also be checked when we are talking about human resources in the organization, and HR metrics will be very helpful to check out the number of leaves, and accordingly what is the number of pay days, what are the number of days on which the pay will not be given. Then the fourth one is job satisfaction and engagement, which is the fourth most important part of human resource department when talking about international aspect, because satisfaction is a part. If it is not there in the organization, if it is not there in the people towards their job, they will try to leave your organization, they will try to find new opportunities, they will try to find new options in the market. So, this has to be brought about continuously in the organization. HR metrics data will continuously give you the data about the satisfaction of the people, and if it is decreasing, if it is significantly decreasing in the organization, it is marking towards a decrease, the organization should well enough plan that this satisfaction is brought back in the organization through any of the strategies that are related to job satisfaction. Lastly, we can say the performance of the people working in the organization can be judged through HR metrics. So, the whole process of performance appraisal, the different feedbacks, that 360-degree appraisal can be done through the performance, and data once feeded can be analyzed and the performance of the different people in the organization can be evaluated. Now, when talking about performance, it is also related to transfers and promotions within the organization. So, evaluation can always lead to further decisions of the organization that the transfers or promotions have to be done for that particular employee or not. Performance data, evaluation data, performance evaluation data will also give you necessary feedbacks for the need of training and development of the people in the organization. So, once we have decided, once we have found out through the analysis of performance data that there is a need of training and development for the people in the organization, over there again the organization will further plan to devise methods to implement different trainings or different development programs for the employee. So, these were the 8 trends that we have studied when talking about emerging trends of global human resources in the organization. So, now what we have understood that human resources has an evolving role in the organization. It has been continuously shifting from a supporting role to the strategic partner role. Now, earlier what used to be there, that the human resources department was there in a supportive role. It was always there in supporting role, as it used to understand the feelings of the people, it used to understand the state of the people, understand the motivational factors of the people working in the organization, and it used to devise the methods to bring about more and more motivation and morale of the people in the organization. Nowadays, this particular task of human resources have been changed to strategic partner. They are strategically planning each and every move of the organization, whether it is motivation, satisfaction, it is related to performance appraisal, it is related to transfers and promotion. All these things are being done by planning and strategically moving for growth of the organization. So, the emergence of HR business partner position is underlying this trend only. Successful organizations are maximizing its value of this strategic position by shifting their responsibility from typical day-to-day activities to trying to integrate these day-to-day activities with overall organization's objectives. To manage this shift in the responsibility effectively, HR is either outsourcing the core functions like payroll, hiring and benefits, and passing responsibilities to other departments which are related with those particular jobs. Major business transformation projects like conducting an end-to-end review of an organization's recruitment process or maximizing the value of human capital management can be owned and managed by human resources in collaboration with the other departments. So, now the role of other departments in addition to human resource department is also growing. Now, there is a cross functional activities like quickly elevating HR's position within the organization, and they are defining them as an able and willing partner that is agile to meet growing demands of the business. So, with the study of all these trends, the new trends of global HR and strategizing the human resource department to cope up with these challenges that are coming from the global trends, the organization is able to understand the needs of the human resources and to implement them with proper and sufficient benefits, so that they remain satisfied within the organization. Thank you.